we are the closest demographically to Columbine as there is in Knox County. Columbine is not wholly different than Bearden High School. So my first priority is to connect with students in a way that we have kids that care about each other, in that sense if something's going on with somebody else, that we find out about it and we get intervened. That's our first level of security, is always intervention before it becomes a problem. But that's really it's difficult to do sometimes, and you got to make sure you work hard at doing it. But you do that through building relationships. At Bearden, you have, as far as school system provided, we have one security officer. We should be receiving another security officer in December, January, so we'll have 2 security officers. All of our doors now have the lockdown doors with the swipe to get them in, the proximity cards, what they call it. So all the doors should be locked as far as going in and out of buildings. We have 2 KPD police officers here. Essentially, and of course we have the security cameras, but essentially that's what we have in place here. We don't have a closed campus. The campus is so big it's hard to close it. And also we have so many outside doors, sometimes it's hard to keep them all locked, but we're keeping them all locked in use of proximity cards that helps in that effort. Largely that's what we have. Every faculty member should be. I know every teacher is. We have lockdown practice and stuff like that. But everybody should be, even students should be aware of lockdown procedures. The first level of security is always human presence. Okay, so your first level, regardless of cameras, of course we have cameras covering all those places. The problem with cameras is that's a documentation thing. That doesn't prevent something from happening. Cameras never prevent anything from happening. It just documents what happens. So we do have cameras, but really it's just human proximity. So making sure we have a presence, whether it's a police presence, security presence, or administrator presence, or a teacher presence in those locations. So that's what we try to do. Largely it's this. We need more people, okay? Having just one security officer for now over a year has stretched everybody real thin. So it goes from, okay, that same security officer is working the parking lot to make sure people aren't parked in places not supposed to be parked, but also locking gates and then making sure they're standing out in proximity at lunch and make sure everything's covered. There's a lot of different things that you're trying to do with just one person. We just don't have the people, the resources. So the additional people is what we need more. I would trade additional security personnel for better cameras. In other words, you can have the cameras. I need personnel. Personnel is going to keep something from happening. Cameras just document it. So I want to prevent something from happening. Bearden High School would be perceived by somebody random, a random invader or something like that. We'd be perceived as a hardened target, primarily because of the proximity cards, but also because we have 2 KPD police cars parked in our parking lot all the time. And so a random shooter, random incident, more than likely is not going to happen at Bearden High School, because when they pull in the driveway, they're going to see 2 KPD police cars and 2 KPD officers, and this is a hard target versus an easier target being someplace where there's not a police presence. I hope pretty safe. I don't know. You have to ask them. I think our strength at Bearden High School is building relationships with students. That's one of our strengths, I think. You'll have to ask students. So generally, anytime we have a security threat, we hear it from students before the threat even becomes a threat. So you have that relationship, open communication with students that potentially keep them safe. I hope they feel pretty safe, because if not, then I've got work to do. But I know they know we care about them. Students know we care about them, and keeping them safe is my first priority.